First, thank you for your interesting presentations. Thank you for not being very late. So we are more or less on schedule. First, I would like to ask audience about the questions for our speakers. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you. You can jump in at any moment you feel. During your presentations, I took several notes, so I would like to find answers to my questions. I'll start from Thea. Thea, you said that saving in city of Osijek, I'm asking that because they are our partners on the project, only from heat allocators was 29.8%.
Are we talking about district heating?
District heating.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I was planning to share, but in a new situation I cannot. But I can say that the EU allocated funds are 80 million in total, and majority of that will probably be spent for Zagreb, because problem with Osijek is that it has too efficient district heating network, believe it or not. Not too efficient, but too efficient for these kinds of projects. So compared to some other cities, it's not priority, for example, compared to Zagreb that has big energy losses. Yeah.
Okay, so actually we can call it smart city, or energy city of Osijek. Christina, I would like you showed the map of the energy cities, and there is no Croatia on it. You just said that there are 6 cities. Can you tell us more which cities there are?
Apologies, it must have been a mistake. So if they were not on the map, then it was a wrong map. Sorry about that.
Okay, and which cities those are? In Croatia, do you remember?
In Croatia, we have Zagreb, we have Rijeka, we have Karlovac, we have Ivanić-Grad, and I have a very last one, and apologies.
Okay. In the audience, there are several representatives of the cities. Can you explain them the process of joining in to those not organizations, but to participate in that project?
I talked about Energy Cities, which is a network existing since 1990. So if you wish to join, it's simply there is a part of our website. You click on joining Energy Cities, and we shall be very happy to welcome you there. There is a pact that you can accomplish, and you just send it to us. You signal to us any interesting projects, and we will be very happy to welcome you. We have several conferences, workshops, and all kinds of exchanges to foster information exchange, knowledge exchange with our members. So feel free to contact me or just come to our website. Thank you very much.
Okay. Željka, you said it was interesting to see that is it implemented one-stop shop for the cities, right? Or it will be implemented? You said there is on the web page opportunity, one-stop shop to collect all the data or possibilities for the city will be collected. Is it already on?
It is up and running. It is up and running, but I think it's still work in progress. So the improvements are still happening, but the basic things are already up and running. So okay. Please visit it and look for the opportunities and funding possibilities.
Do you have idea how many cities actually visited the page and applied through it, so we can draw some data?
This would be an interesting data. I can ask the colleague who is actually in charge if we keep such statistics, but I don't have the number at the moment.
Okay. Philip, could you share with us what is your feeling in the last call, which will be end in June? Which topic will rise the most proposals? What is your feeling? Because we cannot participate, it's almost gone for us, but what do you think? What is the hot topic at the moment?
Yes, it's true that it's probably a little bit late to start trying to put together a proposal for one of these topics because they generally involve a consortium, and well, Francisco knows very well, it's a lot of work, probably months of work to put together a Horizon 2020 proposal of that kind. We do generally try and anticipate how many proposals we might get, because then we need to plan the evaluation process when we evaluate with external experts the proposals for funding. So what we do is we invite external expert people to come to Brussels after they've done a remote evaluation and to decide for us what are the best excellent proposals for funding. Horizon 2020 is quite competitive, but we can't say in advance how many we will get because we get many applications right up to the deadline. So we generally get a hurry at the end and a lot of people submitting at the last minute. But that's just natural. People need to take as long as they can.
Thank you. As this conference is being video streamed, we have agreement that if there are any questions over the internet, they will be answered. Anton, yes? No?
No, so far we don't have questions, so we can continue maybe with questions from the audience.
Okay. What about the audience? Any questions for our speakers?
I have a question for Philippe. You started. Sorry. Good morning. My name is Kees Verschoor from the city of Utrecht in the Netherlands. I have a question for Philippe. You started to explain with the at a really high level that we have goals at European level that we want to address. And we ended with one living lab on one floor of a building here in, I think it was in Zagreb. Are you thinking that we are making enough progress? And, and what do you think we should do more, or where do we should give more pressure on the projects?
Okay, yeah, that's quite a good question. We are making progress. I mean, the fact that there's a Commission proposal at the moment to toughen the energy targets is a sign that we are already meeting the previous or existing energy targets, the 2020 targets. So there is already evidence that the historic kind of parallel growth of economies and energy consumption has been separated. So energy consumption is going on a plateau or even going down in Europe, whereas the economy is growing in general. So we've reached a point which is good, but we do need to step up efforts now if we're going to meet the climate goals ultimately. And in terms of your question on which specific areas, well, there are many. We need to tackle a lot at the same time. Building renovation is probably one of the most complicated and most difficult, and that's why Foster Egg has been looking at the ensuring that public authorities can plan properly, because there are so many different actors involved. It's so complex. It's not so much about technical difficulties. We know how to renovate buildings. We just need to remove the barriers that exist in terms of regulations and financing, and simply motivating people is a big thing, especially private owners of houses. How do you persuade somebody to, instead of spending money on a new kitchen, spending money on insulating their walls? It's not as nice as a new kitchen to look at. You don't even see it. And that kind of, how do you get through to ordinary people and convince them is half the task, I think.
Sure.
I think
this is a problem that requires the agreement or requires the cooperation of many, many stakeholders. It's not a burden on the shoulders of the European Commission, of course. Cities, citizens, the industry, the public authorities, we all need to agree on what kind of solutions we want to implement and how we are going to implement the solutions. I think Philippe is very right that we have the technology, we know how to do building retrofitting, implementing other kind of energy efficiency measures, but how to implement them and how to make agreements in order to properly implement them is the real key. I'm very happy because of the three presentations show that we are all kind of thinking along the same lines. We have been, things have been popping up that we have been working with in Foster Reg, and it's very exciting to see that we are looking at or searching for the same targets, and hopefully we will get somewhere soon. But it's a burden that we need to share, all of us.
If I may add something,
Sure.
because Philippe identified regulation and funding possibilities as being an obstacle, I hope the urban agenda will be instrumental in that sense, because there are several partnerships working on building issues. I know circular economy one is looking at those, housing is looking at buildings, so maybe they will come up with some actions in terms on how to improve or streamline the regulatory barriers and funding possibilities.
Sure, and the development is not a linear process. We are right now developing smart city on one floor of a building, but I don't know how many projects are going on. At one point, they will all converge to large step. Please.
Hello, my name is Tomi Haramina, and I'm executive director of an SME called Green Infrastructure. And among other things, we deal with green infrastructure. Well, that means we're planning and design like green roofs and other things that are called ecosystem services on neighborhood levels and city levels and building levels. No one mentioned here that kind of interventions in the context of this topic. So I'm interested how many funding possibilities are there for this part of interventions, which is, I think, complementary to the things you talked about today.
Maybe I'll answer that. There are funding possibilities for what we call nature-based solutions, and they are actually managed by a different unit in EASME that tends to deal with the green issues, circular economy, eco-innovation, yes, nature-based solutions in cities are important. But you should check the Horizon 2020 website for the nature-based solutions. That might be what you're looking for. Incidentally, if you're an individual SME and you have a solution that you want to develop for the market, there's also the SME funding programs that EASME runs, the SME instrument, which has a two-stage application process where you do a first stage of feasibility study, and then if that's successful, you go on to a second stage, which has up to 2 million euros in funding.
Excuse me. If I may add again.
Of course.
You know, there is urban innovative actions that I mentioned, where you would need to hook up with some other partners. And there will be a call in 2018 on land use and nature-based solutions, so there might be an opportunity there as well.
Thank you. There was a, okay.
Poštovanje, Ribarević, poduzeće Stoning iz Zagreba. Jedno pitanje za gospođu Žakula, a vezano je uz razdjelnike topline. Javnost je o ekonomskoj analizi koja je rađena dobila jednu lakonsku obavijest da to nije bilo isplativo. Pa, obzirom da uštede postoje, postoji neki fiksni trošak ugradnje razdjelnika, ako gledamo samo te efekte, onda je to isplativo. Da li za 5 godina ili za 505, to ne znam. Dakle, pretpostavljam da je problem u troškovima očitavanja i eventualno u procjeni troškova održavanja. Pa kako ste vi bili informirani o tome, vjerujem kao suradnica ministra, molio bi da mi to kažete, da li je u tome problem, u tom dijelu troška. I drugo pitanje, da li je analiza rađena samo s aspekta korisnika ili su valorizirani popratni efekti, obzirom da je svako snižavanje potrošnje energije ima neke efekte na bilansu države, u konačnici kao energetski ovisne države, i ima efekte na zaštitu okoliša. Hvala lijepo.
Yeah, sure. It's a local question regarding heat allocators, the topic we were just talking about. So please be short because we are a bit late on the coffee break.
Is it okay if I answer in English or you want in Croatian? Okay, so the question is about heat allocators. There were many questions in Croatia. Many people are unsatisfied. And I would say that there are several issues why they are not economically feasible. First of all is the price, because they were set as obligatory by the government. The price in Croatia is so much more expensive, so much higher than in rest of the EU. So that's the first thing. People on the market use the opportunity to raise the prices. Second is, as you mentioned, the price required to read the data, which is unacceptable. That should be done for free for people who do have them, because it's a very simple task. And third, we do have really low prices for heating energy. We have cogen in Zagreb, and the price is relatively low. That's all. Those are all the reasons why it was the result was the way it is. The analysis was done looking at a period of 10 years. So when I say they are not cost effective, I mean within 10 years you cannot pay off what you invested. And when you talk about benefits for the government, that's all true, because there are not many measures that are that cheap and with which you can achieve 25% of savings. But also then you should subsidize it as a government. If that is something that helps you as a government and not a person as an individual, then maybe we should thought about, well, how do you make at least some kind of subsidy for the people that want to implement it. Plus there were many technical issues in Croatia that those were not placed having, many issues of not preparing the field. So allocators were not implemented correctly in many different occasions, and that's why we have such a high number of unsatisfied users.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a question about urban regeneration in...
It's a question regarding efficiency of Osijek heating system also.
Great.
For Tea Žakula. So you were saying that Osijek heating system is really, how should I say, effective? But when we see that at the end users part, the installations are very much oversized and very high temperatures within the buildings, within the apartments. Can you explain a little bit more that statement of yours?
I wanted to say that it's not as inefficient as some other existing district heating networks. So it is not efficient, but it is less inefficient, let's put it that way. And actually the project in Osijek is not so much related to energy efficiency, improving district heating system. It's more actually related to putting a bigger pipe, as I understand. Again, I cannot share all the details, but the problem is that there were several other neighborhoods connected to the network that was basically designed for smaller capacity. So the issue is of increasing the size of the connecting district heating pipe network.
Okay, thank you. Do we have another question? Well, thank you all for your participation. I would like to ask you to join on a coffee break. Unfortunately, only you here in this room or viewers over the internet cannot join us. So let's be back in half an hour. Thank you.